Hello Year 1, welcome to this week's art lesson. This term we are starting a new unit all about colour mixing, and today's learning objective is to learn about the work of Vasily Kandinsky. So the big question is, who is Vasily Kandinsky? Now, steps to success today: I can recall prior knowledge about art, I can follow a story about Kandinsky's life, and I can answer questions about Kandinsky. So, as a little recap, we've got some questions about things that we've already learned about in art. So, for our last unit question, true or false question. So, true or false, abstract art looks real, like a photograph. And now a question about last term. What was the name of the important artist we learnt about last term? And finally, last year, name these colours. Name these colours. Okay, so let's go through the answers to those questions. So, true or false, abstract art looks real, like a photograph. That is false. Well done if you said false. And we're going to be talking a little more about abstract art today as well. And for the last term's question, what was the name of the important artist we learned about last term? And hopefully you all remembered, it was Pablo Picasso. And last year, name these colours. So hopefully we got these ones right. We have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, pink, brown, black, white, and grey. Okay, so a big question. Who is Vasily Kandinsky? And some vocabulary that we're going to be looking at today. So we have the word Moscow. We're going to talk about Moscow a little bit. Moscow is the capital city of a country called Russia. Russian means something or someone from Russia. Abstract, as we have already talked about this before, so hopefully you already have an idea. But abstract is art that does not depict reality, so it's not realistic, but instead uses shapes, colours, forms, and lines. And mix means combine or put together to form one substance or mass. So mix and paint means you combine them, put them together to form one colour. Okay, so let's have a little look at this picture here. This is a photograph of Vasily Kandinsky. So I wonder, why do you think this photo is black and white? Do you think it's a recent photo? No, that's right. It's not a recent photo. So Vasily Kandinsky was born on December the 16th, 1866. Now that's over 100 years ago, around about 150 or so years ago. So a very long time ago, before colour photographs were invented. Let's find out some more about Kandinsky through a story. The story is called The Noisy Paintbrush. The Noisy Paint Box. And the author is Barb Rosenstock. And the illustrator is Mary Grandpré. Vasily Kandinsky spent his days learning to be a proper Russian boy. He studied bookfuls of math, science, and history. He practiced piano scales to the marching click of the metronome. He sat stiff and straight as at dressed-up dinners while the grown-ups talked and talked and talked. Vasia's well-off world was perfectly polite until the day his aunt gave him a small wooden paint box. Every proper Russian boy should appreciate art, said Auntie. She showed Vasia the correct way to mix colours on the paint box palette. Vasia mixed red with yellow, then he mixed red with blue. As the colours changed, Vasia heard a whisper. Hiss! Louder. Hiss! Then louder still. Hiss! What's that sound? Asked Vasia. I don't hear a thing, said Auntie. Vasia listened as his brush stirred and swished. The swirling colours trilled like an orchestra tuning up for a magical symphony. Mama, Papa, cried Vasia. What a noisy paint box. Silly Vasia, said Papa. Stop being foolish, said Mama. Vasia painted the sound of the colours. He spun a bright lemon circle onto the canvas. It clicked like the highest notes on a keyboard. He brushed a powerful navy rectangle that vibrated deeply like the lowest cello strings. He tossed up jagged swashes of blaring crimson and added cheerful dots of burbling green, clanging orange, and tinkling violet. Vasia painted and painted until the colours went quiet. Look what I made, shouted Vasia. Is it a house? Asked Auntie. Is it a flower? Asked Mama. What's it supposed to be? Asked Papa. It's music, said Vasia, waltzing his painting around the house. Calm down, said Mama. Do some math, said Papa. Heavens, said Auntie, this boy needs a proper art class. So Vasia went to art class and learned to draw houses and flowers, just like everyone else. As the years passed, Vasia finished school and studied to be a lawyer. He ignored his noisy paint box and lived the way people expected. But Vasia couldn't ignore the sounds of the colours singing to him in the streets of Moscow. The canary-coloured mailbox whistling as he rode to work. The scarlet sunset haze ringing above the ancient Kremlin walls. An ivory chorus of snowflakes scattered on the sable collar of his overcoat. One evening, suitably steamed and starched, Vasia attended the opera. As the orchestra's music crashed around him, the colours of the noisy paint box twirled wildly in his mind, stomping lines of vermilion and coral, caroling triangles in pistachio and garnet, thundering arches of aqua and ebony, with shrill points of cobalt and saffron. Vasia heard the colours singing. Vasia saw the music dancing. And Vasia was never quite as proper again. He quit his job teaching law and moved from Moscow to Munich to be a painter. He studied with this famous teacher, then that one. Is it a house? Is it a flower? What's it supposed to be? His teachers asked. Vasia wanted to paint the colours he heard, but maybe the famous teachers knew best. Once again, Vasia put houses and flowers, animals and people into his paintings, just like everyone expected. The teachers were happy. Vasia was not. His artist friends understood. They too were tired of painting pretty landscapes and pretty ladies. They thought art needed to change. Art should make you feel, Vasia told them, like music. Exactly, said his friends, but none of them knew how to paint feelings until the day Vasia grew brave enough and invited the world to see the paintings roaring from his noisy paint box. Hiss, bash, rattle, whistle, murmur, zip, clang. Snapping cerulean paints, crunching crimson squares, whispering charcoal lines, Vassias named these paintings after the music he loved. Improvisation, composition, accompaniment, fugue, movement, and simply 3 sounds. With his noisy paintbox, Vasia Kandinsky created something entirely new, abstract art. It took a long time for people to understand. Is it a house? Is it a flower? What's it supposed to be? It's my art, Vasia answered. How does it make you feel? So let's have a look at some of Kandinsky's work. What shapes, colours and lines can you see? We talked about this quite a bit last term, didn't we? So just pause the video here. What shapes can you see, first of all? That's right, there are circles, lots of circles, aren't there? Okay, what about colours? Lots of colours, aren't there? Pause here, which colours can you spot? And finally, what type of lines can you see? Can you see any vertical lines? Any horizontal lines? Lines at an angle? And what about, are the lines thick or are they thin? And are they curved? Can you see any curved lines or are they all straight? Okay, so now it's time for you to answer some questions about Vasily Kandinsky. So thinking about the story that you just heard, and you can go back in the video at any point to retrieve your answers. So if you start off by having a go at drawing a picture of Vasily Kandinsky. So for this one, you might need to go back and find the slide that has the photograph of him on. You can use to help you draw your picture. And remember all those important skills we learnt last term about portraits. See if you can put them into practice with your portrait of Kandinsky. And then you can answer some questions. So I'll read through them. And if you just write down your answers on a piece of paper or in a notebook and send them to the Year 1 email address. So question number 1, when was Kandinsky born? Question 2, where was Kandinsky from? Question 3, what type of art did he create? Question 4, Kandinsky liked to paint things like houses, flowers, animals, and people. True or false? Number 5, what was Kandinsky's job before he became a famous artist? So remember, he wasn't always a famous artist. Question 6, Kandinsky named many of his paintings after the something that he loved. What did he name his paintings after that he loved? Okay, so you can pause here, just in case you need to go back to any of those questions. And then, as your next step, I want you to think, how does Kandinsky's art make you feel? Now, there are no wrong answers to this because it's about you and how it makes you feel. So just have a think. Go back to the pictures now. Have a look at them again. And just talk to your grown-up and have a go jotting down. How does Kandinsky's artwork make you feel? Okay, thank you very much.